The year is 2007. The place is Estonia. As the snow falls, a car drives up to the Sawn Institute, and someone watches from the window as Anna, an art therapy instructor, enters the building. Anna is checked and is greeted by Dr. Novotny before beginning her first day's work. They are interrupted by a man who informs them that a patient named Lena is missing. The institute is put on red alert. Dr. Novotny explains that she is their most dangerous patient, and Anna is left somewhere safe while they search for her. Inside the room, Anna discovers a little girl sitting at a desk. She can see that the girl has drawn a picture of her and introduces herself as Lena. Dr. Novotny enters the room with some orderlies who restrain her and take her back to her room. He explains to Anna that she's not a child. She suffers from a gland disorder, which holds her growth at around age 10. She is in fact 31 years old. He goes on to explain that Lena uses her affliction to fool others into getting her own way. One night, Lena seduces a guard and kills him. She uses his keycard to escape through the corridors. Anna is also just leaving and sees Lena outside in the snow. She goes back to warn Dr. Novotny and quits the job. Anna drives back home without realizing that Lena has stowed away in the back of her car. Lena kills her and then enters the house. She checks Anna's computer for lost children and finds a girl online that looks similar to her named Esther. Lena goes outside and sits on some swings. She's picked up by the police and tells them that her parents are from the United States and her name is Esther. In Connecticut, Alan and Tricia are watching their son Gunnar win a fencing match. They discuss the loss of their daughter, but suddenly they are informed by Inspector Donnan that she has been found after 4 years. Tricia travels to Moscow and is reunited with Esther. On the flight back, Tricia speaks of the family, but seems surprised to learn that Esther has forgotten about the death of her grandmother. As they arrive back in the airport, Lena is embraced by Alan before they return home. They enter the house and Lena explores. She tells Alan and Tricia that she enjoys painting, and Alan is delighted. The following day, they go to meet Dr. Seeger, a child psychologist. She asks Lena what happened while she was away, but Lena skillfully changes the subject. While Dr. Seeger speaks with Tricia, Lena eavesdrops on the conversation. Dr. Seeger has noted some inconsistencies, so Lena creates a distraction and they leave. On their way out, Lena notices Inspector Donnan taking photographs of them. Back home, Alan takes her around his studio. His paintings make use of ultraviolet paint to make a hidden layer. He tells Lena that nothing is ever just one thing. She uncovers a load of newspaper clippings concerning her disappearance, but he recovers it and says that there's no use dwelling on the past. He suggests that they may like to paint together, and she tells him that she wants to draw him. Tricia notices her painting and seems surprised at how good it is. Later, Tricia picks up a notebook that Lena brought back with her, but Lena snatches it from her, telling her it's private. Tricia tells her that she was just looking for her gold watch. Lena then uncovers a notebook with writing by Esther and uses it to enhance her deception. At dinner, the family discuss Esther's artistic prowess, and Lena calls Tricia Mommy. There's a knock at the door. It is Inspector Donnan, who has come to check on things. He appears to have some concerns. That night, it's revealed that Lena has been stealing jewelry and money. She is about to leave, but looks back and sees Alan in his studio. Her growing fondness for him encourages her to return. Tricia and Alan are preparing to attend a charity gala. They feel that since they got Esther back, they also got their love life back. They start to have fun, without realizing that Lena is watching. Lena slashes Tricia's expensive dress. Gunnar is left in charge, and Lena asks what they're going to do. He holds a party in the backyard, while Lena is told to stay in her room. Disobeying the instruction, she joins his friends downstairs and refuses to leave. Inspector Donnan comes to the door and asks Gunnar if he's having a party. He denies it, even though the inspector can smell illegal substance smoke from the street. Inspector Donnan asks to use the bathroom, but instead goes upstairs and takes a fingerprint sample from Esther's room. As he leaves, Lena's watching and checks the room before realizing what he was up to. Tricia and Alan arrive home. Lena has left the shower running to make it appear that she's in the bathroom. Tricia picks up the book from earlier and finds a picture of her and Alan with their face scratched out. Newspaper clippings regarding the missing child and a reference to the Sarn Institute. Trisha walks into the bathroom to discover that Lena is missing. Inspector Donnan is at home, checking the fingerprints, and realizes that Lena's prints are not a match for Esther's, which he has on file. Lena sneaks up behind him and stabs him in the back. As he lays there dying, Lena demands to know how he knows that she isn't Esther when her own mother doesn't know. He claims that she does before he's shot. Trisha's holding the smoking gun and makes sure that he's dead. She then points the gun at Lena's head, and Lena explains how she got there. Trisha asks why Lena didn't rob them and leave sooner. She thinks that Lena is playing for bigger stakes. Lena asks to be let go, and they will never have to see her again. But Trisha tells her that Esther cannot disappear for a second time. Trisha tells her that Gunnar and Esther had a sibling argument, and Gunnar went too far. There was an accident, and Esther was killed. Trisha was protecting her son, but Alan didn't know anything about it. Together, they hide Donnan's body down a well, and they agree to continue the deception. They send an email from his computer to cover his disappearance. They return home together, and as Alan puts Lena to bed, Trisha and Gunnar discuss the problem they are now faced with. The family goes to see Dr. Seeger again and create a deception that she is fitting back into her family life well. Later, some family friends come for dinner, and Lena is prepped well for how to behave. Gunnar comes to confront Lena. They argue, and he threatens her and calls her a freak. One night, as the family sits down for dinner, Trisha serves Lena an alternative meal. Lena is suspicious and asks to be excused, but Trisha tells her that she may take her dinner and eat it in her room. Once upstairs, Lena puts the food down for a mouse that is in her room. Alan comes in to check on her and asks her to join him to do some painting. They paint in the studio as Trisha watches them together. As Alan goes to bed, Trisha comes in to confront Lena and tells her that Alan would be as repulsed by her as any man when they realize that she's a mutant. Trisha taunts her before going upstairs to join her husband. Lena returns to her room to find that the mouse has died. The next morning, Lena's cooked breakfast for Alan and Trisha. Trisha empties the smoothie that's been prepared for her down the waste disposal, but discovers that the dead mouse was inside the glass. Alan is on his way to an art gallery, and the family goes to the railway station to see him off. Lena sees Trisha and Gunnar speaking together, and as the train approaches, she attempts to push them off the platform. She is interrupted by another commuter, and her plan is foiled. Alan gets on the train and leaves, but Trisha realized what was going to happen. She tells Lena that their arrangement is over and that she is dead. Lena grabs Trisha's handbag and takes the car, but Trisha reports the car is stolen, and Lena is soon picked up by a police officer. Back at home, Trisha learns that Lena has been found, and she's brought back to the house. Lena walks in, followed by Trisha. Trisha tells Gunnar to get up, as they're going to do this. They confront Lena, who tries to make a run for it, but she's restrained by Gunnar. Before Trisha's able to complete her terrible plan, Lena is able to escape, but Gunnar pushes her down the stairs. Suddenly, Trisha receives a phone call from Alan, who had received a call from the police and is on his way home. Gunnar notices that Lena has gone, so he fetches his fencing blade and tracks her through the house. He finds her in the dark, and she suddenly produces a crossbow and disables him. Then, she gets the fencing blade and finishes him off. Trisha arrives and chases Lena into the kitchen, where they fight savagely, ultimately causing a fire. They both climb onto the roof as Alan arrives home. Both slip and are left clinging to the roof, trying to explain their case to Alan. Trisha slips and falls to her death as Alan rescues Lena. He tries to comfort her, but her disguise is revealed. Alan is horrified and calls her a monster. In her anger, Lena pushes him off the roof. As the fire department heads towards the house, Lena is inside cleaning herself up and puts herself back into disguise as Esther. She walks out of the flames and through the front door. Sometime later, Esther is moved to an orphanage where she waits to be adopted by a new family.